Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I welcome all of you to this exclusive program, TV talk shows and analysis. I, Dr. Muhammad Naik, am your host and moderator for this program. We have with us Dr. Zakir Naik. Dr. Zakir Abdul Karim Naik, President of the Islamic Research Foundation, is renowned as a dynamic international orator on Islam and comparative religion. Dr. Zakir is famous for his critical analysis to challenging questions posed by audiences after his public talks. In the last 13 years, he has delivered over 1,300 public talks worldwide. He has successfully participated in dialogues and debates with prominent personalities of other faiths. His public dialogue with Dr. William Campbell of USA in Chicago on April 1st, 2000, was a resounding success in presenting the compatibility of Quran with established science. His interfaith dialogue with the famous Indian guru C.C. Ravi Shankar on the topic, the concept of God in Hinduism and Islam in the light of sacred scriptures, held in Bangalore on 21st January 2006, was very well appreciated for propounding the oneness of God Almighty. The Indian Express included Dr. Zakir Naik in its list of the 100 most powerful Indians in 2009, as well as in 2010, amongst the billion-plus population of India. He was ranked at the third most powerful spiritual guru after Sri Sri Ravi Shankar and Baba Ramdev in 2009, and this year in 2010, he superseded them too. Dr. Zakir appears regularly on many international TV channels throughout the world. He is the spirit and brain behind Peace TV, which is watched worldwide by over 100 million viewers. Dr. Zakir Naik stood out most eloquently for Islam and Muslims in his TV talk show, Walk the Talk, conducted by Shekhar Gupta, editor-in-chief of Indian Express, on the NDTV program Walk the Talk, aired on 7th and 8th of March 2009. Dr. Zakir Naik appears regularly on many international TV channels in over 200 countries worldwide. Hundreds of his talks, dialogues, and debates are available on VCDs and DVDs. He has authored books on Islam and comparative religion. Peace TV, his brainchild, has become one of his most impactful, unmitigated, and far-reaching phenomena worldwide in creating a better awareness of Islam and removing misconceptions about Islam. The ever-increasing, over 100 million viewers, avid viewers of Peace TV, are evolving into mass defenders of the true, just, and peaceful Islamic message for humanity at large, and challenging the negative stereotyping of Islam and Muslims worldwide by some powerful corporate media, anti-Islamic governments, and vested interests. As far as our topic for today goes, TV talk shows. A dictionary meaning of a TV talk show is a program during which well-known people discuss a topic or answer questions asked or telephoned in by the audience. We start today's program by asking our guest tonight, Dr. Zakir Naik, directly about the differences of these various talks and the formats they tend to follow. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome to our show, Dr. Zakir.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's my pleasure.
Our audience here and all over who respect you so much would first of all like to be clear on this concept. What is the difference between a TV interview, a panel discussion, a TV talk show, and a TV talk?
Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Amma ba'd. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. As far as the difference is concerned between a TV talk or a TV interview or a panel discussion or a TV talk show is that a TV talk is just a continuous talk given by a speaker or a specialist or a celebrity in front of a camera. He has got no audience, he's directly facing the camera, and there's no interruption whatsoever. As far as the TV interview is concerned, it is an interview taken by a host of a celebrity or a specialist in that field. The host asks questions to the celebrity or to the specialist, and he replies to the queries or the questions asked by the host. As far as the panel discussion is concerned, there are a few people on the panel, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5, or many. All of them may be specialists concerning the subject in discussion. Or in the panel, there may be two groups. One may be opposing the subject, one may be in favor of the subject. This is a panel discussion. And there is a moderator. And this moderator sees to it that he gives equal opportunity to all the panelists, and he gets the best out of the show. As far as a TV talk show is concerned, it has evolved recently in the past few decades after the television media has expanded. And in a TV talk show, it's a mixture. In a TV talk show, it may be a host who's interviewing the celebrity or the specialist. And while in interviewing, there may be a group of audience that is listening live, or he can throw the floor open to the people to ask questions on the phone line. If it's a live TV talk show, there can be people who are asking questions on the telephone. Or a TV talk show can be a panel discussion. There can be a few people who are there on the panel. And the moderator, he asks questions to the panelists, whether they belong to the same view or they may belong to opposing view. And while he's asking questions to the panelist, there may be a live audience which is watching. They too can take part in that TV talk show. Or the TV talk show can be thrown open to the people, if it's a live TV talk show, to the people who are watching, so that they can ask questions on the telephone. So these are basically the difference between a TV interview, TV talk, a panel discussion, and TV talk shows.
Jazakallah for that basic clarification. Do you personally prefer taking part in a TV interview, a panel discussion, a TV talk show, a TV talk, or a public lecture to present your viewpoint, and why?
If you give me the option amongst all 6, the best I would like is a public lecture. And second I would like is a TV talk. The reason is because in a public lecture and in a TV talk, there is no interruption. I can present my view without being interrupted, because normally if a host is there or if a moderator is there, there are chances, depending upon the moderator, I may be able to present my view, I may not be able to present my view, depending upon the intentions, etc. I prefer a public lecture and a TV talk as compared to the other 3, 4.
If you had a choice to take part in a public lecture or a TV talk, which would you prefer and why?
Compared to a public lecture and a TV talk, but natural, I would prefer a public lecture. Because a public lecture normally is in front of an audience. So, but natural, the impact of a speaker is higher. Speaking in front of a camera looks like you're speaking in front of a wall. So I prefer personally speaking in public, giving a live lecture. But natural duration is longer. It can be maybe of half an hour or 1 hour or 1.5 hours. That's much better because in a public lecture, normally I stand. In a TV talk, you have to sit normally, though you can stand and also give a TV talk. And in a public lecture, it is much more interesting because you get the reaction of the audience. So when you get the reaction of the audience, the impact and the presentation of a speaker is better. And today's scientific research tells us that when a person gives a public speech or a lecture, 93% depends on his presentation skills. And 7% is the matter. 7% of the marks of the public lecture goes to the content, to the matter of what he speaks. 93% is the presentation skills, but natural, which involves body language, which involves modulation, gestures, eye-to-eye contact. Because when a person speaks, even his eye is speaking, even his hand is speaking. So I personally prefer a public lecture in which a person can present better. He can see the reaction of an audience as compared to a TV talk which is speaking in front of a camera.
Dr. Zakir, you have delivered over 1,000 public lectures worldwide. How many TV talks have you delivered?
But natural, the maximum that I've given in my life is public lectures. As far as TV talks are concerned, maybe a few hundred, I don't know the number, but it will be a few hundred, maybe 300-400 TV talks I've given, alhamdulillah.
Does that mean that you prefer giving lectures and TV talks only and avoid being questioned?
Now, as far as being questioned, I prefer the question and answer better than the public lecture. But being questioned by an interviewer and a moderator is different from being questioned by the public. I prefer being questioned by a questioner. That's the reason whenever I give a public talk, I prefer that the question and answer session is longer than the public lecture. Because a public talk or a public lecture is a monologue. It's a one-way traffic. In a question and answer session, it's a two-way traffic. It's much more interesting for the audience as well as for me. And it's challenging for me that I don't know what question the person is going to ask. So I prefer a question and answer session much better than a TV talk. And that's the reason when we handle question and answer session, when the program is organized by us or when I'm called by the host, I tell them, I prefer the question is asked live. I don't prefer chits. Because when someone gives chits, there are chances if you get maybe 30, 40, 100 questions, you can select what you want to answer. And then the audience may feel that, some questions Zakir has answered, some he hasn't answered. So I normally prefer that in a question answer session, the questioner lines up behind the microphone and he asks the question live. So no one can say that I'm selecting what I want to answer. So whoever is first in the queue, in the microphone, he is the person who gets the chance. And I personally prefer giving an opportunity first to the non-Muslims, then to the Muslims, because they have a better right to know about Islam than the person who already is a Muslim. So that is the reason we prefer giving chance and opportunity to the non-Muslims. And I enjoy a question and answer session much more than the lecture.
We'll continue the discussion, but after a short break. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Nice to have you back on the program again. TV talk shows and analysis. How many TV interviews, panel discussions, or TV talk shows have you taken part in, and why?
As far as TV interviews are concerned, that also may be a few hundred TV interviews. As far as panel discussions are concerned, I don't know the exact number, or maybe 50. Same with TV talk shows. I have attended many TV talk shows which are live, and I always prefer attending a TV talk show which is broadcast live, which is telecast live, in which a person's view cannot be edited. So I prefer attending TV talk shows which are broadcast live rather than which are recorded and telecast later after a few days, after a few weeks. As far as panel discussions are concerned, maybe 30, 40, I don't know the exact number, but close to that.
Dr. Zakir, is it right, as most people presume, that you prefer appearing only on Muslim television channels?
Yes, as you asked me that what is the reason that I prefer speaking on a talk show and a public lecture as compared to giving an interview or having a panel discussion, where an interview is concerned, normally it also depends upon the intention and the integrity of the person taking the interview. And that more so ever is important in a panel discussion. The moderator is very important, because if the intentions and the integrity of the moderator are not correct, then there are high chances that the things you speak can be moderated, or it can be rather misrepresented. So what I really say, that the difference between a TV talk and a TV interview is that in a TV interview, the person asking you a question can ask you leading questions, which I've got no problem with, but sometimes they may not give you a chance to complete the answer. But a TV interview is far more safer than a panel discussion and a TV talk show. Because in a panel discussion, since there are many speakers who are there on the panel, maybe 3, 4, or more than that, here the intention and the integrity of the moderator as well as the producer of the show is important. Because if the moderator wants to promote a particular viewpoint which he prefers, he can give more chance to the panelist whose view he agrees with. And there are high chances that he can cut short the answer of the panelist who he doesn't agree with. So therefore, in a panel discussion, when the people are watching at home on the television, if they're not aware of the media, how the media works, they may not know what goes behind the scene. So the moderator can sway the panel discussion. And secondly, it's also important, the view the integrity and the intention of the producer of the show. Because if the intention of the producer of the show is not correct, and he wants to promote a view, even if on the panel, if there's an expert who can prove the viewpoint of the producer wrong, in the post-production, he can edit the portion which he feels is going against his view. So when you see a TV talk show, you have to keep in mind that what is the integrity and the intention of the producer and the moderator. Because if you doubt the intention of the producer and the moderator and the integrity, what you see finally on the television, in the TV talk show or the panel discussion, can be edited. And there are many instances we can give where we can prove that how it can be done. For example, when you're taking an interview, and suppose someone asked me that, what are your views regarding the policies of George Bush? And suppose if I reply that I do not agree with the policies of George Bush. In the post-production, you can easily edit do not. And it will sound in the show, I am saying, I agree with the policies of George Bush. Actually, I've said, I do not agree with the policies of George Bush. But on the show, it will appear that Zakir Naik is saying, by editing do not, I agree with the policies of George Bush. And if a person who's being interviewed, if he does not know the background of the media, and if he's shown his own interview, he may think, okay, it was a slip of the tongue. He may think, okay, by mistake I said, I agree with the policies of George Bush. So if you show his own interview, and if he does not know how the post-production is done, he will think it was a slip of the tongue. Actually, it wasn't a slip of the tongue. So that's the reason the integrity of the producer of the show and the moderator is very important. And this can even happen more in a panel discussion, where what can be done, that parts of the other panelists can be shown along with the person who you differ with. And he can be made to appear that he's agreeing with the view of the producer of the moderator. So therefore, a panel discussion is more dangerous as compared to a plain TV interview. So that's the reason I personally prefer giving a public lecture and a TV talk as compared to appearing on a TV interview or a panel discussion or TV talk show. But between the three, as I mentioned, I would prefer a TV interview because there's less chances of editing. And even after you edit, if you have said everything correctly, there's less chance of manipulation. But if the intention of the moderator or the person who's the host, who's taking an interview, or the intention of the producer is evil, then there's little chance that you can undo it. In a panel discussion, the moderator has more flexibility of putting down the person he wants to put down and uplifting a person who he wants to uplift. So a panel discussion, I personally prefer being out of a panel discussion unless I'm sure that the integrity of the moderator and the person who's conducting the show and the producer, it is honest, and I believe in it. I normally prefer staying out of panel discussions.
Jazakallah, Dr. Zakir, for explaining that point. We understand this integrity and intention are very vital for you, but we are ultimately human. We may err in this judgment. Ultimately, it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who is absolute in this kind of understanding. Dr. Zakir, on how many non-Islamic Indian television channels have you appeared on for TV interviews, panel discussions, or TV talk shows? And what is your experience about these appearances?
As far as appearing on non-Muslim TV channels for TV interviews, for TV talk shows, the panel discussion, I have attended more of the foreign ones, foreign TV channels than Indian TV channels. Many times in UK, in South Africa, in USA, in many countries, in different parts of the world. As far as Indian TV channels are concerned, as far as my memory goes, maybe I've attended approximately 5. I remember the first one that I attended was a talk show conducted by Farooq Sheikh. And the program was Mard. And the topic of that program was Biwi Ho To Kaisi. You know, that was the first one I attended. And the second one that I remember is I had a panel discussion. It was a live show done by CNN IBN. And I was in the Bombay studios of CNN IBN. And there were two panelists from Delhi. That was the second one. And third one, as far as memory goes, was a TV interview that was conducted by R.K. Bajaj on the RKB show. That's on Sahara channel. And the fourth one, again, I think, was the TV interview. It was a different type, on Walk the Talk by Shekhar Gupta, who is the editor-in-chief of Indian Express on NDTV. And the last one recently, just 2 weeks back, or rather 3 weeks back, it was aired 2 weeks back, on the NDTV. And the program was We the People, which was conducted by Barkadat. And the topic was Muslim identity. So these were the 5 programs as far as memory goes.
Means only 5 programs you appeared on. All these years with thousands of lectures on one side and only 5 programs.
If you ask,
you got an opportunity only for that.
I've been asked hundreds of times to appear for talk shows and for panel discussions, at least few hundred, by many channels. You name the channels, you could say easily most of the channels that have talk shows. I've been asked to appear on many of them, at least a few hundred times. But personally knowing that because I already do come on various other satellite channels, I don't want my views to be changed or to be altered. Because of that, I know what the background is. And I personally don't really think that most of the shows that take place are with the true intention of the topic. Because I doubt that since for a normal man it's different. For me, since I'm a man of the media, and I appear on various satellite channels, and Peace TV alone, alhamdulillah, has a viewership of more than 100 million. And that is absolutely, it's a direct view without the producer of these public lectures or TV shows, without altering the view, and I trust the integrity of the other Muslim channels. That's the reason, because I know that they will not change my view. I've appeared several times on Muslim channels. Because of that, I take care, because I had very bad experiences in these past few TV talk shows. So because of bad experiences, and when I speak to other people who have been on the show, they too have that. And I really agree with you when you said that we cannot actually judge one's integrity until we have proof for the same. Now, because I have spoken with other people who have been on the talk shows, I'm talking about those people who know the media. A person who does not know the media, and if he goes on a talk show, he will not know what goes behind the curtain. So once the talk show is aired, then you can say and be sure what was the integrity of the moderator and what was the integrity of the producer.
We'll continue the discussion, but after a short break. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Good to have you back again on this program, TV talk shows and analysis. For us as lay people to understand how the TV talk shows and the interviews present your viewpoint properly on the positive side and manipulated on the other side. Can you relate to us your experiences, TV talk shows, maybe your first talk show with Farooq Sheikh in brief?
The first talk show I don't remember the year exactly, somewhere I think close to the early part of the 2000s or late part of the 1990s. And that was the first TV talk show I attended in India. And as I told you, the program's name was Mard. And the topic of that show was Biwi Ho To Kaisi. And that called a Christian to represent their view. They called a Hindu, and they called myself, and they called an atheist. There were about 4 or 5 people in the panel, and there was an audience like the way we have here. And they asked that how should a woman be, how should she behave, and everyone gave their view, even I gave their view. And when I started speaking, and while I was convinced when I give a reply, but naturally I give with reason and logic. So at the end of the show, the answer that I gave, most of the panelists agreed with it. Initially, they may have differed, but when I gave the reasoning, that's more important for a woman to look after children, look after the home, not that she can't work, as long as work is modest, she can go and work, and all these things. So the show went off very well. And the moderator, Farooq Sheikh, He was a gentleman. And I was very happy. That's the first show that I did on the Indian television channel. I was very happy, fine. I gave the answer, the audience questioned me, and they criticized me, they attacked me, I gave the reply. Now, when I gave the reply, the other audience agreed with my reply. That's what I do normally in a live question and answer session. They asked me a question, I gave a reply, and I'm giving equal opportunity. And Farooq Sheikh did a good job. But the bombshell came later on. A few days later on, I got a call from the channel saying that the program did not end the way the producer wanted. So we are going to have a reshoot. So please wear the same suit, same shirt, same tie, same dress, and come for the show. We're having a reshoot. And when I got this message from my manager, I said, this is nonsense. Program was fine. There's no problem in it. So he told that, surely we won't be coming, because we felt the program went perfectly fine. So they had the reshoot in the same studio, in the same setup. Maybe all the other panelists came, but I did not go. Maybe most of the audience came. They had a reshoot, and after a couple of weeks, they had that aired on the television satellite channel. And the best part of it was, when anyone sees the show, they are seeing me sitting there, nodding the head many a time, to things which I did not nod at. So what they did, they reshot the whole thing, and they changed the view, though I did not go the second time, but when they telecast it on air, it was shown as though it was shot once, and Dr. Zakir Naik was there, and was agreeing with the wrong things also. So this shows that the integrity of the producer was absolutely unjust. I don't blame the moderator. I mean, Farooq Sheikh, I can't blame him. He's being paid for his job. He did a good job initially. What he did next, I don't know, so I can't comment on that. But the end of the story is that when it was aired, it was made to look that Dr. Zakir Naik, fine, I did speak, and they showed portions of my answers which suited them more than the other part. But when it was aired on the channel, it was shown many a time that the views that I did not agree with, I was shown that as though I agreed with it. So this is what I mean by saying the integrity is very important. So what I say, that these shows, the producer and the moderator, they are doing it for the living. I'm not giving a speech for my living. I'm not here to speak about Islam for my living. I don't take a single penny from anyone. In fact, we give, you know. So because it is a bread and butter, many a time, the producer, they make a show which is liked more by the audience. They are more bothered about making what will sell more or will have a higher TRP rather than to know what is the truth. Same thing with the moderator. If the moderator is commanded by the producer and he chooses the moderator has little say in it. Or if the producer is neutral and the moderator wants to change the show, the moderator can change the show and the producer doesn't bother. So therefore both are important, the moderator as well as the person who's the producer. So the first show I had went off very well, but the end result, because they reshot it, it was a disaster.
But then you again trusted CNN IBN for another program.
That's
Your
right.
experience on that.
That was after many years. I don't know when I think I gave it after maybe 7-8 years after I appeared for the first show. I think it was maybe 2007, I believe, when I went for the CNN IBN show.
And your experience on that?
There, because it was a live panel discussion, and the issue, I think, was something to do with Muslims. I don't remember the main topic of that. It was done by
Rajdeep Sardesai. And Rajiv Sardesai, he was sitting in Delhi, and there were a few panelists in Delhi. One of them, as my memory goes, was the MP. I forgot the name, who was the editor of the Muslim India. Syed
Shahabuddin, correct. Syed Shahabuddin was there, and there were other couple of people in Delhi, and I was alone in Bombay. That too was not a good experience because I was hardly allowed to speak only twice. And when I said something, it wasn't heard there because the microphone is in their hand. So though it was a live show, I could only speak when I was allowed to speak. See, normally in a panel discussion, live, when I speak, the microphone is on, no one can cut me. But here I was in Bombay, they were in Delhi. And I was hearing from the headphone, which was through a mobile, I think, I don't know. So there were questions asked, though it was a live show. It was a live show, that was telecast live, but because of this problem that my microphone didn't work until they pressed the button. So there too, it was not a good experience. But because it was live, It didn't do much damage. Only thing that, fine, Dr. Zakir Naik didn't say much or wasn't given an opportunity since it was a live show. It was being telecast live. Because of that, I felt that there wasn't much damage except that I was not given enough opportunity.
They say twice hurt, third time shy. But then again you jumped into the ring. You went in and you appeared on the Rashtriya Sahara's RKB show.